Thank you for joining us for our webinar today. We are the International Student Ambassador team at TMU, and we've organized a bit of a webinar titled How I Chose My Program. This will go over some of our experiences as international students and hopefully answer any questions that you guys may have. I think we're good to start now. So let's get straight into it. Hannah, if I could, yeah. First is the land acknowledgement. So a land acknowledgement is an act of reconciliation that involves making a statement recognizing the traditional lands of indigenous nations to honor treaties, land rights, and land titles and rights. So Toronto is in the Dish with One Spoon territory. The Dish with One Spoon is a treaty between the Anishinaabe, Mississaugas, and Haudenosaunee that bound them to share the territory and protect the land. Subsequent indigenous nations and peoples, Europeans, and all newcomers have been invited into this treaty in the spirit of peace, friendship, and respect. We'll dive into our agenda for today. First, we're going to hear from two of our ambassadors talk about a bit of their stories at choosing TMU, in TMU, choosing their program. Then we're going to go over my slides about my doubts as an incoming international student and how I worked through that. Then we're going to hear from Princess Animi about life at TMU. And then we're going to finally hear about some final tips that you guys can choose when picking your programs. All right. So this is our team. Two of our ambassadors unfortunately couldn't make it for today's webinar, which is Princess Animi, but you'll hear from them about their perspectives later as well in video form. Let's just start by introducing ourselves. We'll state our name, major, and year.
Can I go first?
Yes.
So, hi everyone, my name is Hannah and I'm in my 4th year of marketing at TMU right now because I'm sharing the screen so I can see you guys, but hopefully everyone is in the chat and in the meets are having a good time.
Hey everyone, I'm Kareem and I'm a 3rd-year business management student. Specifically, I'm double majoring in marketing and global management studies. And I'm very excited to be here for the webinar.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm Garb. I'm a final year computer science student, and I'm also very excited to continue this webinar. And as I said, Princess and Nimi unfortunately couldn't make it today, so we'll continue.
Thank you, Garb. So as I mentioned, I'm really excited to share my story with you guys on how I ended up to TMU because I think it's a very interesting story. And I think many of you might be in a similar place right now, trying to figure out where to study, what program to choose, and what life as an international student could look like for you. For me, the story starts back in New York. I was studying there when I started applying to transfer to university here in Ontario, and I was fortunate enough to receive offers from 7 different universities. It was very exciting, but again, as you imagine, also overwhelming. And I know some of you might feel the same way when you're comparing programs and trying to make the right choice, because there's a lot of options out there. And I remember putting all my efforts side by side, offers side by side, and really asking myself, what do I want out of my university experience? And for me, it wasn't just about the degree, it was also about where I could grow the most, both academically and personally. And that's where TMU really stood out. When I visited the website and started learning more about my offer and looking more into the university, I could really picture myself not just studying here, but also being part of the very dynamic student community we have here at TMU and just the general diversity being in Toronto. The biggest reason I chose TMU was its location. Being downtown Toronto means you're literally in the heart of Canada's largest city, and you're surrounded by endless opportunities, from networking and internships to cultural experiences, to just the energy of the city life in general, which I was used to having previously lived in such a metropolitan city as New York. But Another reason why TMU really stood out to me was the co-op program we have. And having the chance to gain real world work experience while studying felt like a huge advantage, especially as an international student. Basically, I didn't just want a degree, I didn't just want a degree on paper, but I wanted an experience that would prepare me for my career and really help me stand out once I joined the workforce after graduation. But beyond academics, the campus community here at TU is incredible. There are so many student groups, events, and ways to get involved, which made me feel very confident that I could grow both inside and outside the classroom. And luckily, we'll be able to hear more about these opportunities later on in the webinar through Princess and Mimi. But now that I've been here, what I love the most about TMU is the balance between academics and student life. And I always feel like at TMU, we have this culture of being ambitious and career driven, but also having fun and making an impact through student clubs and experiences that you have available here. And throughout my time, I've been able to join many organizations, meet people from all over the world, like you guys right now, and develop my skills in ways I couldn't imagine before coming here. So, to wrap things up, if I could leave you with one takeaway from my story, it's this. Choosing a university is about more than just the program, but think about the environment, the opportunities, and the kind of experience you want to create for yourself from that out of that experience. And for me, TMU has been a place where I can chase my goals while also building community. And that's why I'm so glad it was the offer I decided to take.
Thank you so much, Kareem. I loved hearing about your work experience or how impactful that's been for you and co-op. I think the holistic view is super important, especially like for university. I think you should focus on the student body opportunities as much as the academics. So I'm glad you highlighted that. I think it was very important. Awesome. Our next story session is going to be from Hannah. Awesome. Take it away.
Okay. Hi everyone again. So as you can see on the pinboard right here, I have a couple of the Disney Channel's teens movie back in the 2010, 2013s. So like you can all see, growing up, I was obsessed with Disney Channel. I would watch like Hannah Montana or the Suits Live and just dreaming of living that fun, exciting life on screen. So at the same time, I also noticed how different the education systems is in North America compared to mine in Vietnam. So students seems to have so much more freedom, so much more control in general over their study life. Like they can join clubs, they can try new sport, they exploring arts, all while studying. That is very rare to me because I don't have such free time, like spare time to do so. When I was in Vietnam, the um, like I love being there, but at the same time, the study was too heavy. And that really stuck with me for years and made me want to experience that kind of environment for myself. Um, so when it came to choosing a university, I knew I always wanted to be somewhere that is very lively, energetic, like even a little bit of chaos in the best way. So basically, that's how I ended up in Toronto and eventually TMU, right in the heart of downtown. So now, why marketing? You can see like McDonald and Tide there, like the laundry detergents, and wonder why put them there, right? So honestly, I have always been curious about like why certain brands stick in my mind. Like how does fast food instantly make me think of McDonald, or how Tide is always equal to laundry detergents, not the actual ocean tide to me. I only knew that it's actually like the ocean tie until I learned advanced English. So it's always blew my mind that a brand could really becomes like so it could become so powerful in my mind that a brand like it literally changed the way we think of a word. So that's when I start wondering like what kind of magics are the marketer doing and how can I learn to do that from them. So if I can wrap things up and give you some of the takeaway, is that if you're still figuring out what to study, look at what naturally excites you. Like sometimes your interests are already pointing you to the right directions. Like how if you can binge watching Netflix Prime for hours, you can do like you can use all of your free time looking at finding movies, analyzing them. Then what about considering media, film productions? I mean, I always love have to know how the brand make the branding. So that's why I chose marketing. So it reflects on your interests and you'll find your right way. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Hannah, for sharing that. I know you mentioned a bit about the education system being different. I think I was also sort of shaken up by how like what different things that are considered in Canada's education system. And it was also really nice to see from my side as well. And I think passion is such an important topic to discuss as well. Your career should definitely be involved with something that you're passionate about and that something that you like doing or like studying, right? So thank you for touching up on that. I'll be sharing a bit of my experience, going over doubts and some questions I had when I originally was coming to Canada, right? I'll start. But when I first came to Canada, I was super excited. It was a new country with new people and a completely fresh new start, right? I was ready for basically everything. Uh, the first orientation week was awesome. I got to meet so many people, went to all these events, and thought that I was already forming some semblance of a friend group, which is super important when you're coming to a country alone, basically, right? On the top left there, you can see that's a photo from my orientation week. Basically a bunch of events that happened the first week before classes start. But once classes started, reality kind of hit a bit in terms of the friendship and socializing. I realized that making friends is one thing, but actually getting close to people takes a lot more time and effort and energy, right? Coming from a high school where I spent years getting to know people, going through another fresh start was a little intimidating at first. There were definitely moments where I felt sort of lonely, especially during my first winter. I think most people have a story like this, but the winter is something you really need to be prepared for. One, one of the worst things for me personally was standing at the bus stop in the snow, waiting alone, thinking about how this is so much harder than I had originally imagined, just in terms of socializing and living alone, right? But as with all things, it just needed time. I kept finding more and more people as recurring characters in my life through classes, through clubs, and through group projects. And things started to change eventually, right? And funny enough, a lot of my current friend group are people I met during that first orientation week. So it's a full circle kind of moment for me where I just needed some more time with those people. And I want to share that story because even if feel slow at first, it's okay. They'll come together with time. And I think that's super important to consider when you're going through these episodes of sadness or think questioning of like where you are or what your social life is. I think it's super important to be patient with yourself and kind of consider that and keep that in mind. On the bottom right there, you will see a photo taken during a club social. So in our clubs, we have like social outings. And so those are the people from my club that I met during the winter. Another aspect of life as an international student I want to cover is living alone. Living alone for the first time was also quite an adventure. I remember I was so bad at cooking in the beginning. I remember not cooking down my onions enough, not putting in enough spices, not having a lot of ingredients even, right? And I remember calling home, I called my dad and I asked is it really supposed to take this long to cook? It wasn't. But over time, I figured it out. One small disaster at a time. It's how you learn, right? And now the process has become a lot more enjoyable for me. As an international student, I know things can feel so much tougher. You're adjusting to a new culture, a new language maybe, and even the weather. But the good thing is that you're never really alone in that journey. There's a big community here of students who have gone through the same thing. You just have to give yourself time to find your people and your rhythm. So if you ever feel lost or homesick, that's totally normal. It's part of building your own version of home here. And when that happens, it's one of the best feelings ever, truly. But yeah, I think a lot of us coming in might have doubts. Like we were talking about earlier, people feel nervous, right? But I think a lot of it just involves us being patient with ourselves and giving ourselves time to kind of realize that things might not work out immediately, right? That things take time to kind of work out. But as long as you're patient, things will eventually work out as long as you're doing the right steps, right? Which is super important. Okay, awesome. If again, any questions, please drop them in chat. I'll try to take a look over them and we'll talk about it towards the end. Awesome. Our next section of our webinar is going to be about life in Toronto and at TMU. And we're going to see a video from Nimi, and we're going to see a video from Princess as well. Let them take it away.
Hi guys, my name is Nini. I'm an international student from Nigeria and I'm in my 4th year in the business management program. My favorite part about being in Toronto is probably going to the waterfront in the morning. I think it's very peaceful. I think it's such a fantastic way to start the day. Another key point for me is going out with my friends. I get to go for dinner. There's so many nice restaurants and there's so much cuisine to try around downtown. So I really do enjoy that. Toronto is very diverse in that sense. Honestly, my favorite part about being in TMU is the fact that there's so many different student groups. I personally am involved in the Black Business Student Association where I serve as president. I know there's a pizza student group on campus, there's a sandwich student group on campus, there's an East African Student Association, there's a Muslim Student Association, and these different associations create events and do a lot of initiatives to allow students to enjoy their time at TMU. Another thing about TMU is that we're really, really situated downtown Toronto, so we're very close to different major organizations. So there's a lot of networking opportunities that happen at TMU. A lot of these recruiters come to our school to recruit and take students from our school to their companies. I think like I've been able to find all my internships through school events, and I've been fortunate enough to have internships at every summer I've been at university. Honestly, I've had a great time being at TMU, especially as a business student. I think the business program is fantastic. I think there's a lot of opportunities that other universities don't have to offer. And yeah, I think TMU is the school for you. Bye now.
Awesome. That's really cool. Thank you. Thank you, Nimi, for recording that video and sharing a bit of your experiences. We'll go over to Princess's video. I think unfortunately the audio might have gotten cut a little bit, but doesn't take away from the experience that she shared. For Princess, it's about enjoying your life with clubs while still making an impact on campus, right? And I think that's super important. We have so many clubs here on campus and like student groups that you can join and kind of do events, be a part of a bigger community. I think that's really important. Awesome. I think our last section is going to be tips for choosing a program that Anna is going to talk about.
Next session would be the tips for choosing a program. So those are all things that I wish I knew before I applying uh to my program. I don't have any regret right now, but I wish I know more because that would help me to ease my doubt and overcome my challenge at the very beginning. So the first thing I wish I knew before applying is to look beyond the title. So the same programs can focus on totally different thing depending on the university and also depending on just a little bit of the subtitle. For example, one marketing program might focus more on the analytics, while the other focus more on creativity of the branding. Like our university, I think it focus more on the analytic side. So we learn how the data can aid in our branding. We also learn how brand equity is formed. Um, so we don't focus much on the graphic design. So keep that in mind to check check the course list instead of just looking at the name. So because it's really different from school to school. Um, so yeah, it's really helped to go through all the course lists, checking what you will actually be learning, and imagine if it really excites you. And also don't hesitate with our current students because they has already experienced what you haven't. So they'll have the most honest insight for you. And another thing is that if you're interested in a specific career, look for the pathway. Like just go into Google, look if I want to become like a nurse, what program should I take? Even if I have to take pre-med, I have to take some courses before I actually enroll in the program. That would save you a lot more times because you're not like you put yourself in the right trap at the very beginning. Like for example, for some marketer, they first want to do analytics, but they didn't realize that they want to do analytics in marketing. So actually, marketing doesn't just about like for example, my program because I have the most knowledge of it. Like some people they want to do data analytics, but they didn't realize that they want something fun, something more exciting on their work day. So, but they still enroll in just regular data analytic, not realizing that marketing also have that, but focusing more on the branding. And that's one thing that you might want to notice. So yeah, look for the pathway to achieve one. Don't just assume. Um, and also before before you actually choose the pathway as well, check like really reflects on what your interests. Like I have said, like if you stumble upon any building and see and wonder like, hey, how did they build this? Or you walk into a museum asking yourself how they sourcing it, um how they like know where to display what at what corner. You might be very interested in history, right? So all of the pathway, all of the career might start from very little thing that really excites you. So definitely check on that. So before we move to the next part, if you have any other questions about the tips, we can save that for the Q&A. So yeah, thank you. If
That's
Karim and Garv have any tips for you, they can share as well.
I think you covered pretty much anything I would have said. I think the course list is very important to like kind of gauge kind of what is being taught in the program, gives you a good understanding. And also like the career pathway, like Googling stuff to figure things out for yourself, like research things, study more about like what you're interested in is so important. It gives just you a better understanding of what you want. So I think that's really important to cover.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
also think it's important to look at the long term and not just the short term. A lot of people and a lot of my friends, they get into something looking at the short term goals, but they don't realize that this is going to be their life. So look 20 years ahead, 30 years ahead. Would you actually want to be working in the field you're studying right now, even with the returns? Because it's not always about monetary value. There's also like social values. It depends. You give the value to whatever you think is important to you and whatever you prioritize. For example, me and Hannah, we're both doing marketing because we do see ourselves having those interests and in the future working in that field. Because no matter the field, if you are interested and you're actually good in whatever field you are, in every field you'll find someone who's good at it, who's making bank, who's making money. So as long as you're good and interested in what you're studying, you're going to make money. So I think Hannah and Garth covered most of it, but I also wanted to think about that aspect of the long-term goals. And yeah, good luck to everybody applying.
Yeah, I totally agree. Look, like 20, 30 years, would you still be interested in what you're choosing right now? Because sometimes it's not just about money. I know many of my friends choose finance and accounting thinking that they would be settled in life. But when they actually enroll in, when they look at the numbers, look at the data for the whole day, and they start regretting because um, that would be 20, 40 years ahead of life, still doing the same thing. But for many people, they are really excited, they're really good at number, they just love dealing with number, which I couldn't. And that is the most 40 years, most exciting 40 years of their plan. So yeah, look for the long term, not just the short term. Great tips, Car.
100%, 100% agree. Thanks, Kareem, for covering that. Awesome. I think our next slide is going to be about our chat or meet with us. I'll just go over a bit of that. Um, so all the slides you saw today, all the webinar was prepped by this team of students. We are international student ambassadors. Our job is basically to help you feel more comfortable or more secure in your decision when applying to TMU. We have a section on our website. I'll link that in the chat. But on this website, you can basically choose to chat with us, specifically like send us a message directly, or you can book a Calendly meeting with us, just to kind of go over any questions you might have, or chat with us about our experiences specifically. If you have any questions, there's also a brief description on each one of us, so you can go over that and kind of see if there's anything that's in common with what you're choosing to pursue, um, or just any overlap in what your interests are. But please feel free to use that website to like send us a message and get any questions clarified. Thank you all for joining today. I hope it's been able to answer any questions you might have had and kind of make you feel better about considering TMU as a university that is meant for you.